Here are 10 things I wish I knew sooner about Norland. This is a guide with tips for new and experienced players to get even better on conquering Norland. First of all, I will show you how to customize kingdoms because the most people just don't know about this feature at all. For this, you just have to click on another kingdom than yours. And then on the left side, you will have a new setting system where you simply can say you want to have an abundant city, so no city basically. You can simply say also that they have different cultures, what you want on the enemies. Also if they are peaceful, ambitious conquerors or just random. And you can also say if they are sworn enemies, so having a really bad relationship to you or being your old ally, for example. One of the most interesting things about this is that you can also set the army strength and the starting city size up to 300%, which makes them a lot stronger, and can also change the borders to make, for example, just here a big alliance against you, so that the game also becomes harder for you. In addition, I want to mention that the game has a border rule, which simply means that you can only see on the map the cities which are directly having a border with you. So you see all our surrounding kingdoms are visible, but the ones on the outsides not, because simply we have no border to them. Next up, I will give you an overview about the races in the game, aka cultures, from the easiest to the hardest. The easiest culture in the game are the Warns, and the reason for this is they have really good textbooks. If you play one, you want to simply play in every run the correct cutting in the early game. In the mid game, the fighting drought. And for the late game, they have the longevity. That enables you to get in the early game a really lot of wood, which is one of the main resources of the game. In the mid game, you can prevent your fields from drawing away, which would mean that your harvest gets destroyed. And in the late game, you can simply extend the life of your lords, which makes the game really a lot easier to play. Makkah and Caden are kinda similar to each other. Both have only one really good textbook. For Makkah, it is the Makkah trade, which enables you to trade to other kingdoms with zero relationship. So you don't really need to improve the relationship, which makes the game, especially on harder difficulties, a lot easier to trade. And the Cadence having the late game tech of Caden training, which enables you to make your training grounds 30% more efficient, which is a really big buff to scale your army way better into the late game. Tanaya is by far the worst race to play and also the hardest, because they simply have only bad textbooks. Tip number 3, building requirements. In Norland, you have to research most of your tech through the knowledge tab. Therefore, you need first of all a library, and some of the economic tech or culture knowledge is basic. That means you can research it right from the start, and others you need to buy through textbooks and research them. So here's the thing. In order to really buy from the trader further textbooks, you need to fulfill specific requirements, and then the trader will have the next higher tech book. But if you don't have the requirements for it, you will never see different textbooks at the trader. And which requirements you need for them, you can see if you just go on the knowledge tab and just hover over this stuff. And then you see here, mine is needed to be unlocked. You need a workshop for this. For this you need nothing for especially, and you can just go through, and if you want to see, yeah, I want a pig farm, what do I need for it? Then you see, okay, you need just a city of 30 residents. And like this, you can easier plan how to play your game out if you know what you need to build first in order to unlock the rest. Further, let's talk about the most important buildings, guys. In each run, you have to build a library first because you want to unlock the knowledge tab as soon as you can to research your textbooks. The warehouse is also really important because you actually want to place the warehouse always onto your mine next to it. And also if you, for example, want to go on a really far away fertile field, you should also place a warehouse beside it, because elsewise the way to your hall is way too far away, and then the workers will need way more time to deliver the goods from the fertile fields or from the mine there. And with this warehouse you can just save a lot of time, which means you can mine and harvest way more efficient. This warehouses also doesn't need any manager or builders. You can just snooze them with the Z's on suspend work, because they are really just here that your mine can deliver the goods, and therefore you just don't need anyone onto this building. And by the way, this warehouse is sharing all the goods with your hall, which also means that you could get goods out of it. There are also some buildings which you want to never buy in anyone because they're just too inefficient. The first one is the paper workshop, guys. The paper workshop is only good for making paper, and you need tools for it. And tools are one of the most important resources in the game. And paper is only good for the chancellery or to send messenger. Sending messenger is kind of waste of your resources, so you should always use lords instead of sending messengers. And the chancellery on its own is also just not good. And that's why you also should never build a chancellery, guys. This building is there actually to manage twice as much buildings than you can do with one lord. But you need paper in order to make it work. And yeah, guess what? If you have with this building simply the productivity of 2 lords, you can also just get a second lord in, and they will not burn your important resources. And it's also way easier, and you don't need to research the paper workshop and the chancellery, which just slows down your one. And for the guys who are saying now, yeah, but I have a manager level 15 with the talent, I have the sharp tongue ability, don't need any paper. Yes, then you can get a chancellery, then it's for sure worth it also, but you won't have access in all your runs to it, so also for the beginners, it's easier just to dodge this building and get +1 lord in to manage physically. Number 5, essential resources. Wood, rye, hop and iron are the 4 basic resources you need in every run from the start or as soon as you can. Because out of wood you need to make all your buildings, and also you want to produce a lot out of it. And rye and hop is so important because you want to make also as fast as you can flour and beer to feed your population, because this is the most efficient way. Iron is obviously really important to make tools and also weapons and armory. And the one resource on top, which is the only one you should always buy from the trader, is the medicine. And why is medicine so important? That's pretty easy. Medicine is essential for keeping your lords alive when they have wounds or also disease. And obviously you want to also upgrade all resource and production buildings to level 3 to really sustain a very stable production. Next, I'll show you how you hire free lords and make them a permanent part of your kingdom. First of all, you click on the lord you want to hire. It must be a free lord, otherwise you can't. Then you click on action, hire lord, and boom, you hired him. Now he is for 10 days part of your kingdom, and you can also grant him a title, but you need for this 25 relationship. In order to do this really fast, you go on socials, go on flash wolf hunting with the king, and then the +5 will turn to nearly +50, because flash wolf hunting is the best way to hardly increase the relationship between 2 people. And then you can go on grand title. You need to pay him some bucks to really make him part of your kingdom, and you also obviously need 1 free lord slot, and then he will be part of your village forever. In addition, I want to show you how to swap out lords when you have no lord slots left and want to make a child, for example, a part of your kingdom. The first thing you can do is to revoke lordship title of one of your lords. Then he will become a lesser lord, and then you can grant one of your childs, for example, a lord title. This costs you no money, and then you successfully swapped out a lord with another one. Tip number 7, how to create happy peasants. Happy peasants need actually 5 things. They need food, drinks, religion, house, and work. Work is pretty easy. You just need to give them somewhere to work in order to gain also wages, so that they can also buy food and drinks. A house, you just buy a peasant house. For religion, you just get a temple. Yeah, and for food, you want to go for the early game, Rutabaga and Moonshine. And in the mid to late game for flour and beer, because this makes them a lot more happy and has no negative effects on their mood. In the finance tab, you want to give them 100% food each day. So for each villager. With the alcohol, it's different. They don't need everyday alcohol. You should go for a ratio of 1 to 2, which means you just want 50% alcohol for your villagers so that they can just consume each second day one drink on average. This will make them happy enough to be super happy in your city, and you have more resources where you can trade with, for example. Meat and ale are really pure luxury goods in this game. To win the run, you don't need them at all, but if you're chilling on the run already, then you can produce them. They make the peasants and also the lords like a lot more happy than any other goods in the game, but they're really just on top. Now I will show you how the peasants pathing, and with pathing I mean which stations they have each day at which time. That's really important to know in order to also build an efficient city. At 7 AM, everybody is waking up and going instantly into the temple. There they praying and having their morning service. After the morning service, everybody goes to their workplaces instantly and start to work from 9 AM to 6 PM. Only prisoners are working 3 hours longer. At 6 PM, everybody goes to the hall to deliver their goods and grabbing actually also some nice money. And with this money they just got, they will go next to the market and tavern and grab some nice beer and food. And when they're done with this, they will go sleep, and then the same thing will repeat next day. So you should always build your peasant houses near to the temple, same for the lord houses. Next up, the workstations near to the temple, and the hall really near also to the market and the tavern. Then you have a really efficient pathing. Tip number 9, claiming emperor. Some people are wondering how claiming emperor works actually, and I will just show you because it's a little bit tricky, not gonna lie. So once you have 12 currencies, you can just declare yourself emperor, and then it will actually take 2 days till this action really is done. So you just need to wait honestly first. After 2 days, you will get a tooltip that there will be a ceremony for claiming yourself emperor. This will take place in the temple. And once this is done, you get another highlighted information that the Inquisition is on its way. And if you go on the global map, you can also see in the middle of the map, out of this big forest in the sea, that there's a big squad coming out. That's the Inquisition. And you can also see them pathing towards you. This takes 1 day till they arrive in your town. This will be the final battle of the game, and if you win the fight, you also win the game. But beware guys, if all of your lords are dying, then your run is lost. And last but not least, settings. The default camera speed is 100%. That's too slow. You need to turn it up to 150%, and then you can play the game really smoothly. If you like the video, then subscribe and like there guys. Thanks!